Each year, a certain number of good and less good pigeons are lost during races. For example, many pigeon chicks are lost in the first races. The old and the young are not spared either. They can become disaster victims, especially in May and June. We can ask ourselves the question, what happened to our pigeons? Did they die? Did they choose a new home as a farm, a bridge, or a church tower, or were they caught? We are often inclined to think that they are held captive and have started breeding, or worse, that they have been put in the soup. How often do we hear that some enthusiasts claim to have informed more than 100 pigeons, even though they have not received the slightest report about their lost pigeons? According to some accounts, there are quite a few enthusiasts who have a real foreign legion. When pigeon breeders are asked if their pigeons are sometimes reported, they answer, yes, but only the ones that don't interest me, the good ones are never reported. How is that possible? Maybe it's due to the nature of good pigeons. Their stubbornness, especially if it's the first time, causes them to fly until they're exhausted. They usually die completely exhausted in the honor zone. It goes without saying that good pigeons are rare, and there are far more bad pigeons than good ones. The loss of a bad pigeon is quickly forgotten, while the loss of a good pigeon is difficult. Often such a pigeon box is left empty for at least a year. It can still come back. Stray pigeons or chicks are undoubtedly much more numerous than before. If you don't face the consequences, you'll be inclined to note this statistic without stopping to think. There are probably worthless, unhealthy pigeons there, and the delivery conditions are certainly not optimal. But in recent years, so many pigeons have been lost that even in apparently normal weather conditions, people's morale is disrupted and questions are being asked. Some enthusiasts believe that pigeons are left stray due to the loops in the sky. I don't believe that. Successful returns are reported, and the opposite also happens. No return, but still losses. Should we attribute the losses to all these radars, the tremendous increase in telecommunications, or to cell phones? I don't believe that either. The losses vary greatly from region to region. Isn't it possible that one pigeon is more disturbed than another? Stray pigeons are a problem not only for their owners, but also for the enthusiasts they return to. I try to rehab them and let them go, but most refuse to leave. You can't drive 40 kilometers to a shelter to take them there. You can't report them and commit to receiving so many visits. The National Pigeon Federations. It would be good to establish more centers where lost pigeons can be deposited. When a homing pigeon settles on our roof, what should we do? When we catch a foreign pigeon, if the pigeon has a phone number stamped or a ring on it, we directly call the producer. A foreign pigeon should leave our attic as soon as possible. Otherwise, we would have 5 to 6 foreigners to constantly watch. If we think the pigeon has regained enough strength to return home, we release it a few kilometers away the next day. Later, we remove one of its electronic rings so the owner realizes it has been found. If we assume this pigeon participated in a long-distance race, we leave its electronic rings because the race may not have ended yet. We regularly transport pigeons to a central loft. When it comes to these centers, we must confess our admiration for the work of these people. They are true pigeon enthusiasts in the full sense of the word. Some pigeon breeders who provide pigeon information sometimes react strangely. Put it in the pan. And this is usually given to someone who is not the pigeon on the other end of the line and who is paying for the communication. What must these good people who inform the pigeons be thinking? Sometimes you hear other thoughts. You can't tell the pigeon too early. I lost it months ago. I'll definitely try to let it fly. There was not even the slightest thank you from other amateurs. We don't mean to say that all pigeon enthusiasts behave this way, but you should know that it exists. Enthusiasts are more likely to report strays. Thanks to the phone, you quickly know what to do with the pigeon. The pigeon can be picked up faster. This way, more enthusiastic pigeon collectors are turning to collecting their pigeons. However, we see that most of the enthusiasts who want to take their pigeons change their minds when they learn where the pigeon is. A 50 kilometers or longer journey is usually too much. Most pigeon enthusiasts, although some say otherwise, are usually very saddened when they lose a pigeon. In these gloomy times, receiving a phone call saying a pigeon has been found is a ray of sunshine in the day. For both the giver and the receiver, it is an opportunity to make connections, and sometimes even friendships that we couldn't have imagined yesterday. Whether or not you have identified the street bird, the first aid for the pigeon is to provide drinkable and clean water. A pigeon breeder does not give their pigeons water that they themselves cannot drink. You can feed it if there is pigeon seed, wheat, corn, peas. If you don't have anything else, give rice, raw peas. Feeding it will make it easier to recognize and identify. If you can catch it, without sudden movements, don't chase after it. Without squeezing it in your hands, use a landing net if needed. And without hurting it, its wings and fragile legs, and without disturbing its feathers, necessary for flight, catch it. Put it in a closed place away from dogs and cats. If you find a dead carrier pigeon or it needs more care, it is best to contact the owner. French racing pigeons should have 2 rings. A registration ring showing the registration number, the year of birth of the pigeon, and a letter indicating the country. For example, 176,598-20F, where the letter F indicates that the pigeon is French. An address ring with the address of the company the enthusiast belongs to, for example, Producer X Company, postal code plus city or the producer's address or phone number. If there is no address ring, check the Lost Pigeons heading. If the pigeon does not have a ring, it may be a city pigeon. Homing pigeons may belong to a pigeon breeder who has no band. Foreign pigeons only require a mandatory leg band and contain the same information as the French band, for example, 1685725NL20 for a Dutch pigeon born in 2020. Some pigeon enthusiasts add an address band or print address and phone numbers on one of the large wing feathers, but this is quite rare. After determining the country of origin of the pigeons, you can find the contact information of the relevant federation on the website of the Fédération Colombophile Française or on the pigeon websites, such as the Royal Fédération Colombophile Belgique. It has become extremely easy to know the owner of a lost pigeon. Through the internet, a new system has been implemented on the websites of the Fédération Colombophile Française and also on the websites of other European enthusiast federations such as Belgium, the Netherlands, Germany, and the UK for lost pigeons. For example, when you report a lost pigeon through the FCF website, the pigeon owner immediately receives an email containing all the details of the pigeon reported by the notification. However, an email containing the pigeon owner's contact information is immediately sent to the pigeon's marker. If you cannot reach the owner or in case of any abnormality, you can notify us through the Facebook group SOS Lost Carrier Pigeons, and the moderators will do whatever is necessary. In conclusion, we advise pigeon enthusiasts to play fair with lost pigeons. If you catch a lost pigeon, treat it, report it, or bring it to an acceptance center. Always respond to those who notify you of one of your pigeons. Go find the pigeon or send the title.